If your listing's been sitting and your answer is we need more marketing, you may be about to waste another week. More posts won't fix the wrong price. Better photos won't usually fix a home that shows poorly in person. And price cut by itself won't help if buyers still don't understand why the home is worth seeing. This is Your Daily Real Estate. It's a podcast and a show, and helps you make smarter decisions in real estate as an agent. Sometimes it makes you a better person too. Who knows? Tune in. If you want practical ideas that you can use in your business, well, subscribe. Now, I'm going to show you how to figure out why a listing isn't selling and how to relaunch it with an actual real plan. I know a lot of you are going through this right now. So when a home sits, the market is sending you a message. Your job isn't to defend the listing. Your job is to read the message and to deliver the message without changing it. And we went a little bit over this yesterday. Now, this matters now because there isn't one national housing market. The National Association of Realtors reported that existing home sales dropped 1.7% in July, but sales held pretty steady. And in the West, not too bad. But remember, they moved differently across different regions. We've seen the Northeast still remain pretty hot. The Southeast, not that great. Texas, hard. West in the middle. So your local market may be acting very differently from what people hear in national headlines. So begin with the listing itself. It's pretty easy. Look at the days on market, online views, saves, showings, any offers, and the number of competing homes that went pending. And that's where you start because that's actual real information. Your job is to present it and when asked, interpret it. What does this mean? What does this mean? I usually lead people to, I'm like, hey, look, this is where we're heading. This is what we're seeing with homes selling, with homes expired, homes getting canceled, and so forth. If the listing isn't getting clicks, the problem is probably price or presentation. Buyers are seeing the home online, but it isn't earning their attention. If it gets views and saves, but very few showings, buyers may like something about it, but the value doesn't feel strong enough compared with their other choices. Some may simply be waiting for the price to change. That's why they saved it and they're keeping an eye on it. If it gets showings but no offers, the problem is most likely or more likely price or condition. Buyers were interested enough to visit, but something changed when they walked through the door. And yesterday we went over getting feedback and giving it to the actual homeowner. That's important. This is the first mistake agents make, though. They look at all of that information as separate numbers. It isn't separate. Together, those numbers tell the story that you want to remember, the story that you want to retell. The problem will usually fall into one of four areas. Ready? Price, condition, presentation, or access. And sometimes it's and, right? Depending on the situation, depending on the home. Price doesn't always mean the seller needs to make a huge reduction. It means buyers don't believe the current value matches what they're being asked to pay. Pretty easy, right? Now, look at the active competition, but don't stop there. Active listings show you what buyers can choose from. Pending sales show you what buyers are actually choosing. And closed sales show you what has already been proven. If you want to replay that, that's a really good way of understanding how to tell this story because all of those three things tell those stories. And sometimes we just show the numbers without explaining that simple piece. This means that, this means that, this means this. If nearby homes are going pending while yours stays active, the market, well, it's made a decision. You don't have to like the decision, but you do have to respond to it. The second problem is condition. The home may feel dated, crowded, dark, unfinished, or weaker than the photos made it appear. All of those have been a problem with some of my listings. This is where sellers can become defensive because they've lived in the home for years, and some of them are still living in there. It's not like you took the listing and it's vacant. They don't notice the oversized furniture, the worn entry, the smell from the pets, or the landscaping that has slowly declined. But buyers, they come in with fresh eyes and they notice it the first few minutes really fast. The National Association of Realtors found that 83% of buyers, agents said staging made it easier for buyers to imagine a property as their future home. It makes sense. That doesn't mean every home needs expensive staging, though. Sometimes the right move is removing furniture, cleaning deeply, maybe improving the lighting, and fixing the first three things that buyers notice. So sometimes it comes down to moving the furniture around, opening up the blinds, making sure that all the lights are turned on. Now, let's talk about presentation, because this is not the same as condition. The home can look good in person and still be marketed poorly. The first photo may be weak, the rooms may look smaller or darker than they actually are. The description may list bedrooms, bathrooms, and upgrades without helping people picture their life in their home. Now, NAR staging research found that 73% of agents considered listing photos highly important to their clients. Okay, that makes your first photo more than decoration. It's the front door to the entire listing. But don't use editing or AI to make the home look like something it really isn't. The goal is to show the home at its best, not create a promise that the real property can't keep. In fact, if your home has remained on the market for a while, I would challenge you to change that first picture or the first three pictures just to give a sense of refreshing it online too. And now people, as they're scrolling, they have to question, did I see this home? That picture may be different enough to make them go and take a look at the rest of the pictures and be like, wow, this is different. Maybe I did see it, but what's different? Little things like that matter. The fourth problem is access, and agents often overlook this. In fact, I have a challenge with this with some agents when I'm trying to just show the property and they make it harder for me to show it. If buyers need 24-hour notice, can only visit during a small window, or have to work around tenants and pets and several approval steps, man, they're probably going to choose another home that's way easier to see. Every extra step gives them another chance to move on. Think about it. If it's making it hard to see the home, why do I want to see it? Now, once you've found the main problem, don't make one small change every 7 days. That creates a slow fade. Build one coordinated relaunch. Update the price or terms if needed. Make the condition changes. Replace the first two, three images. Remove the weaker pictures. Maybe they were too dark. You looked at them again, you're like, not that great. Rewrite the story. Schedule the open house or open houses. Then launch everything together. That's the key. A refresh isn't about pretending the listing is brand new. Buyers can see the history. Everyone can see the history. Sold 20 years ago, listed recently, price reduced, price reduced. It's been on the market for this long. Everyone can see that. The goal is to give them a new reason to look at it. And don't just wait for the MLS to do the work. Call, text, email all the agents that showed the property before. Contact agents who recently sold nearby homes. Reach back out to the open house visitors. Share the changes with your database. and your local contacts if it matches what they're looking for or if it's close enough. And you let the neighbors know that the new open house is happening because they may have buyers who want to take a look at it. I would send it to them too. And if you're calling and letting them know, hey, we changed some things, so take a look at it. Let me text it to you. Let me send it to you by email. The message needs to be specific. Don't say, take another look. Tell them what changed and why it matters. People are having a hard time imagining things, so you've got to be specific sometimes. Then send the seller a simple report every week covering the things that we covered yesterday. And if you missed that episode, I gave you a list. It wasn't that long, super short list that you need to use weekly. Show the new saves and show what's happening in the market, show the competing listings, the pendings, the closed, the expireds, then explain what changes mean and how this relaunch is going to work for them and the decisions that need to be made continually, right? And that report changes. It changes weekly, but it also changes the seller conversation. Instead of arguing over whether the marketing is working, or maybe they're not arguing, but they're thinking it, you're looking at the same evidence together. The best question you can ask is, in this situation, is what is the market telling us that we haven't acted on yet? That's the key. Anyway, put this whole process together. If you need a copy of this, I have it. It's a listing refresh plan. Just let me know in the comments here. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, go to Instagram and message me there. I'll send it over. Have an awesome day. And thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe and share this with somebody you think may need this.